Hello everyone, Nitsa Gamer here, and welcome to my long-delayed review on Sonic Forces. I am extremely sorry that this video has taken such a long time for me to get this out. It's mostly due to the fact that I've been sick in the last few months. That and a few other things, but regardless, let's talk about Sonic Forces. Back in San Diego Comic-Con 2016, Sega first revealed two brand new Sonic games. The first one being Sonic Mania, which was developed by people who were a huge part of the fan gaming community. The other being Project Sonic 2017, developed by the Sonic team. All we knew at the time is that it was going to take a darker tone, similar to that of the adventure games, and somehow include classic Sonic in the game, which was the only major skepticism at the time. And as more trailers came out, people legitimately got excited as we could customize our own hero, and we had a new villain who immediately won the hearts of many psychopaths over, including myself. However, as we were presented with gameplay, that's when the skepticism started to rise, in that people felt it was too similar to Sonic Colors, adding the boost gameplay back again, along with some wisps, and the level design looked way too linear, and unfortunately from there, people have been split on whether or not if this would be a great Sonic game. Mixed responses came from people who played the demo, fans defended this game by saying, just wait until the final release, jeez. And worst of all, the Street Day broke and people were getting the game early. This game has become the new controversial topic since De Novo, in that it became the most polarizing Sonic game since Shadow the Hedgehog or Sonic Unleashed. No matter where you go, there's always fans at war with each other over how good or bad the game is. Most reviews online gave the game an average rating, with IGN surprisingly having the fairest review, giving it a 6.9. And as for the fans themselves, they either hated it, loved it, or just found it to be an average game. So, as you can tell, anything I say will just cause a flame war in the comments below. So for the sake of not making yourself look like a freaking idiot, please allow me to explain my thoughts before you make the assumption that I'm one of those people, or some prejudiced BS that people come up with. So, with that said, what did I think of Sonic Forces as a whole? I really liked it. It's called empathy, people. Now don't get me wrong, this is not one of the best Sonic games. I just don't think it's deserving all the hate it gets. I mean, I can agree with some of the criticisms, and I can understand why a fan would find this to be average or a little disappointing, but a bad game? I don't know where your mindset was at the time or what fight you got into, coincidentally with 1,000 other people, but this is far from a bad game. But I guess if I'm gonna shed some light on this game, I'm gonna have to explain my thoughts. So for this review, I will divide it into two parts. This part will be non-spoilers, while part 2 will be a spoiler review, and I would strongly recommend anyone to play the game fully before they watch part 2. And I might accidentally reveal a spoiler or two during this video, so you have been warned. So with that said, let's talk about the individual gameplays.
The war to take back the planet begins now.
Modern Sonic is of course the first character you play as you go through Green Hill. This was shown in the Japanese demo, which had a 60-second time limit. However, you can apparently beat this stage in exactly a minute. Yeah, and this will bring up one of the problems with these stages, which I'll save for later. Now, this first level can get a little annoying in the beginning, as it's made very clear that this is a tutorial level, and it functions like a tutorial level, which may sound like a complete turn off, but just note that this is like the least best Sonic stage in the game, and the later stages do not reflect what you'll play in the first stage alone. Now, Modern Sonic is a lot of fun. Now, while a ton of people have complained that the boost gameplay makes the game feel automated, in that you don't have to do much as you hold one button, that fact is entirely bullshit. Even when you're boosting, you still gotta steer Sonic so you don't boost off the ledge, and you still gotta time your jumps right. And besides, even when it feels like you're doing nothing but boosting, the characters are usually talking via radio during these sections, so it's not like there's nothing while you're storming through some robots. And honestly, when it goes between the action to these characters talking to you at the appropriate time, it's a nice change in pace and none of it drags. And modern Sonic does surprisingly well mixing up the 2D sections with the 3D sections. The 2D sections never feel too slow or repetitive. They keep a consistent speed along with some platforming to make it overall fun. Fun that wasn't completely balanced in Sonic Colors. I mean, while most of the game plays really well, there were many 2D sections that felt too slow or dull to get through, or you would be going too fast to get the platforming right. And it didn't help that half of the wisps were a bore to use. And I'm sorry if you love Sonic Colors, I mean, more power to you if you do, but I personally got bored halfway through that game. It was by no means a bad game. I mean, I really loved the writing and the comedy in it, but it just lacked variety or a consistent change in pace, which left really not that much of an impact on me. Forces, however, never made me bored. It keeps its pace consistent without being too slow, and it balances it out with the two other playable characters you can play as, while also adding Shadow as a secondary character if you decide to replay the level again. However, with all that said, modern Sonic does unfortunately have a couple problems, and they are legit criticisms that I don't think are just nitpicking. One is that the homing attack doesn't feel organic enough, in that Sonic only attacks a robot if you press the button with the target showing, and there's some areas in the game where sometimes the target only appears for a split second, and you can press the button too late, which will have Sonic do nothing. Thankfully, this is not a constant problem, and it only happens on the rare stage, but the homing attack needed to feel more organic and less like a QuickTime event in a Telltale game. The other problem with Sonic is that, honestly, he was the easiest character in the entire game. I had a few troubles here and there, but mostly because I was collecting red star rings in dangerous places, or because, as I mentioned before, the homing attack functions more like a QuickTime event. But thankfully, these problems don't completely ruin my experience, and I can't think of any modern Sonic level that I didn't like. And yes, while Sonic had better gameplay in previous games, it was honestly a lot more fun than Sonic Colors or Lost World, which were both lacking in excitement. And then we go on to our second character, the Avatar himself. Or herself, sorry. I guess I should talk about the customizing options before I talk about the gameplay, since a huge part of what makes this character so much fun is how creative we want our avatar to be. It can be one of 7 different species with its own ability, male or female, different eye shapes, eye color, skin color, body color, victory pose. The only thing I have to complain about this setup is, why can't the females be naked? Also, if you start off naked and are confused on why you couldn't give your guy some glasses, don't worry, you're actually supposed to earn them by completing stages. So whenever you complete a stage or get an S rank or complete a certain mission with some requirements, you are rewarded with accessories and clothing to put onto your avatar. And it will take a while before you get the pouches to make your wolf character look like the one that was heavily marketed. And while this may seem like a downside to some, honestly, I think this is great. It encourages creativity, replayability, and working hard to get the right accessories you want to fully customize your character into the Sonic OC you've always wanted to create, but can't draw because you suck at art, like I do. The avatar I created was a blue wolf, who I vowed not to wear pants throughout the entire thing, occasionally wears glasses as he can have crappy vision, like I can, and I never wear glasses, has the ability to change his fur color at will, and he carries his camera everywhere with him, just like how I probably would if I were to save the world. And I even gave him a name. I named him after my very first child raised in Sonic Adventure 2, Ron. Now, okay, you can't actually name your avatar character, as he's usually referred to as Rookie or Buddy, but it's still fun to use my imagination. Now, the avatar stages have split a lot of people. Some say it is too slow, some even say it's the best gameplay style. For a while, I used to say the avatar stages were the best, but after playing more of the game after my blind Let's Play, I do find modern Sonic to be a slight more fun. But in the end, I really did enjoy the avatar stages. And what's so great, like I said before, is that this game has a nice change in pace. And even if whatever your avatar looks like doesn't really matter to you, you can carry different Wispins, which are modified guns using the power of Wisps. and they're actually fun to use. I mean, you will probably find the Burst Wispin to be the best Wispin, and Asteroid and Void are pretty shit, but once you figure out how the other Wispins function, you will find yourself switching between them so you can either beat a stage easier, or use the powers to get to certain paths that could lead you to a red star ring. Your opinions will massively change or differ on what works best, but this kind of variety is great. Cube is not the best, but at least it's a million times more satisfying than the slow platforming we got in Sonic Colors. Oh yay, so fun! And it really helps flesh out the Avatar stages to make them seem less linear than modern Sonic stages, as there are multiple ways at approaching different branching paths. And being able to play as a character who represents you joining Sonic's team feels really refreshing, because it's clear he's not built for speed even if he can run fast, but he's there to do what he believes is right even when fear takes over. Yeah, they surprisingly give the Avatar some character development despite having no dialogue, most of which I will talk about in the spoiler video. Now, the only problems I can think of is that once in a while the Avatar can be slow and the platforming can be a little iffy, as sometimes a jump doesn't get you high enough or you need momentum to get across a gap. And there's one level called Aqua Road that you gotta play to believe, and I'll talk more about that in the spoiler video. As a whole, I had a lot of fun with my furry nudist, and I made sure he didn't get sweaty balls from beginning to end. So, if modern Sonic and the Avatar are fun, surely they couldn't botch classic Sonic's gameplay up, right? If only. Now, while I disagree with modern Sonic and the Avatar stages being bad, classic Sonic just felt average overall. Now, that's not to say I can't have fun with him, it's just I can't have as much fun as I should be having. Now, why is classic Sonic even in this game? I'll talk about in part 2. What I will talk about is his gameplay. Now thankfully, it's not a complete chore or a broken mess like the gameplay was in Sonic 06, but it just felt like you had to work against the physics to get through the level. I mean, classic Sonic controlled very timelessly in Sonic Mania, and his physics were so well done in Sonic Generations. Change the gaming engine, and it feels very off. The problem is that classic Sonic's momentum hardly builds up any speed, causing him to be too slow or to break momentum when you come across a slope like this in Chemical Plant. Yeah, I was just simply running normally, and Sonic couldn't make it up this slope unless I spin dashed, and it happened twice within the same stage. The other issue is that the platforming in this game can be iffy, even with modern Sonic and the Avatar, but classic Sonic is always in 2D, so there's never a change in pace. The physics never felt right, and the stages lack variety to make it above average. Thankfully, the first 2 stages aren't so bad, but after that, you start to go through the motions as nothing felt new. There wasn't enough gimmicks to keep the pace interesting. And when it did add gimmicks, we honestly get a very bad stage like Casino Forest, which, in my opinion, is the worst level in the game. Mostly because I was fighting against the physics to get through the level, as I had to pull hard maneuvers or go through tight spaces to get through an area. And yeah, I guess you could argue that Sonic Heroes had this problem too, but at least there was a change in pace to keep that game interesting. Now thankfully, I managed to S-rank it on the first try, but Casino Forest really wasn't complete enough and is honestly the worst stage in the game. I can't say I completely dislike classic Sonic. I mean, when it plays fine, but I think I will agree with the criticisms against classic Sonic, in that A, we needed better physics, or B, classic Sonic really shouldn't have been in this game. It was just average, and it lacked the enjoyment that I could have had with modern Sonic in the Avatar. I mean, if you personally love classic Sonic and had no problem with his gameplay, that's great. I wish I could have had that feeling, but this is the one negative criticism that unfortunately I have to agree on. It's not bad per se, but it's not good either. And I think the only other gameplay to talk about is the tag team stage, and holy crap are these stages extremely satisfying to play. No joke, I really wish we had a lot more stages with tag team, as there's unfortunately not a lot of it. It essentially mixes Sonic's gameplay with the Avatar's current Wispin, and It has plenty of variety to keep that change in pace and make everything fun to go through. Stage 24 in particular is one of the best stages in the game and will really get you hyped up. And then we have the also satisfying fist bump, Double Boost.
It doesn't matter what obstacles they put in our way, we'll blow past everything they throw at us. Double Boost! Show the world what we can do. You are next to me and I'm next to you. Push me on through until the battle's won. Yeah, that's how it's done. We've got unstoppable speed and timing. We just have to keep this up.
Come on, how can you not love this? Playing as your own character, having Sonic be very encouraging, and mixed with an awesome main theme. It's very appealing, and it's nice to see this kind of friendship between two characters who never met prior to the war. So yeah, Classic Sonic was really the only gameplay I had the most issues with, while the stuff with the Avatar and Modern Sonic is mostly good. But there is two other problems that all of these stages can have. One, most of these stages can be beaten as short as a minute to maybe 3 minutes at the most. Yeah, these are very short stages to get through. The only reason it would be any longer is if you died a lot or go after red star rains, which are usually in areas that require skill or risk to get to. And the other problem is, depending on what stage you're playing, the majority of them are very easy to S-rank on the first try. I mean, I know Adventure 2's ranking system was brutal and all, but good god, these stages are so easy to S-rank. Heck, I S-ranked all secret stages in one try, it was that easy. Now, I should address the one major complaint, as honestly, I find this criticism to be unfair and hypocritical, and that's the fact that the game is entirely linear, in that there's zero multiple paths and it's all boosting in one direction that you can practically play with it in one hand. This is extremely over-exaggerated, and I will speak against this criticism. For one, yes, there is a lot of areas where it is one path, but even then, the levels do split, giving you a choice of what direction to go. The easier way, or the way that will get you the most rains, or possible red star rains. I mean, there's 3 rails you can choose from in this level, multiple ways to go down this water slide, multiple ways to go through this city, and the last Sonic stage is filled with multiple paths that I wonder, what the f*** are you guys talking about? And second of all, linear gameplay has been in previous Sonic games. Yeah, look at Sonic running through multiple paths in the city. Look at Sonic grinding on just one rails. Look at the team going through this hallway that splits in multiple directions, making switches that were totally optional. Remember when City Escape was a multiple way street? You see where I'm getting at here? I've played these levels more than once, and I know there are multiple paths, and it's not as linear as people say it is. And if you hated it because it's too linear, that's fine, but why be so hypocritical when past Sonic games have done this as well? Yes, these games do have multiple paths, but there were a lot of linear moments that only had one way to progress through the level. So to say that Sonic Forces did it first seems very desperate. So really, this is the one criticism that I will argue against. This game may not have the best level design, but it's not completely half-assed or completely linear. So if you were turned off from this game because of this criticism, just know that this is entirely false, hypocritical, and over-exaggerated. It can get linear, yes, but there are multiple paths, and there is replayability in this game. And wow, I think that's all I have to talk about when it comes to gameplay. It took around 20 minutes to talk about, but it needed to be addressed. There are definitely flaws, no doubt, and classic Sonic stages were average and really needed to be worked on, but I did have fun from beginning to end without feeling bored or angry. And to think that there's thousands of others who did have these feelings really makes me question why they feel this way. I mean, I've tried looking at reviews, but a lot of them were painful to sit through or never really explained why well enough. So if you hated these gameplay styles somehow, explain why rather than just how you feel, or otherwise the people who love this game are not going to be able to understand.
Oh, you want to know why?
What the hell?
Well, I could give you a grocery list of reasons why.
Oh, why is it so easy to do satirical cop-outs and online reviews?
Well, it can't be as bad as the cop-outs in this game, such as when Tails is saved by...
Whoa, 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 hey, buddy, this is a non-spoiler review.
Oh, who cares if they're spoiled? This game is horrible.
Please tell me I don't have to do this review with you constantly interrupting me.
Oh no, I only felt like interrupting you after you defended the boost gameplay in this game, if you can even call it that, while verbally treating us like shit!
Alright then. Go ahead.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, go ahead and add more to what I haven't criticized already.
Oh, okay. Well, let's start by saying it f***ing sucks! Yes, there are multiple ways to go, but it's not fleshed out or fully realized like the stages were in Unleashed in Colors. I mean, in those games, you could drift, which really added to the fun, skill, and strategy to the speed, so it wasn't all just holding one button, or as the idiots from Sonic Team like to call it, dashing like a maniac. They made it too simple, too casual, so much so that normal mode is entirely pointless. Hard is just as much for casuals as it is for, oh, I don't know, people like you.
Whoa, hey, don't accuse me as one of those people, okay? This was just a meme. They aren't an actual group.
I mean, I could see Forces playing as a mobile game, but nope. It had to be an official Sonic game. Just when Sonic Mania left a good impression on the franchise, Forces had to come in and fuck it up again.
Yeah, you know that there is this game called Rise of Lyric, right?
Worst Sonic game ever and sold the least amount of copies? Yeah, I know. But this game takes every step backwards from what a Sonic game should be. It doesn't make you think or strategize how to get through the stages. You just press and hold buttons to get to the goal. The end. What fun, right? Simple and a bore. And the team were seriously happy with this? Look, even if you hated these past Sonic games, these complex controls are what made these stages engaging to get through. You felt like you were accomplishing something, thinking fast and working hard to get to the goal. But here, it's automated, not because the game plays for you, but because they added no depth. Instead of playing like a video game, it plays more like a movie, almost like a Telltale game as you mentioned before. Sonic can have story, yes, but gameplay should always come first. And even then, both story and gameplay are insultingly awful in this. And it gives newcomers the wrong impression of what made these past Sonic games so great.
Wow, that's probably the deepest criticism I've heard. Everyone else just says it's incomplete, but that was probably the most in-depth I've heard against modern Sonic.
Good, now maybe you can start thinking like an actual critic instead of a fanboy who likes to go fast.
Whoa, okay, buddy. You just had me at a little bit of respect for the moment there, and then you went into an insult. What the hell?
Well, that's what criticism is.
That wasn't even criticism. That was an insult. I didn't even make this game, so how the hell does calling people who like this game count as criticism? It's not. It's just you feeling some sort of pride. Look, I'm not going to deny that this is the wrong direction for how a Sonic stage should be played. It did need more of what these three games had while still being its own unique thing. And while I agree with Generations being a better game, which I had fun all the way through, Colors, I was bored because it was the same thing over again. The only reason I cared for these Wisps was because they look cute, and that's it. Nothing about these worlds made me want to save it. I had no emotional investment in anything in Lost World because I didn't care for the world I was fighting for. Sonic Forces, on the other hand, does provide something new as well as something familiar, and it makes it all the more appealing and easy to get emotionally sucked into. I had fun, and there's still strategy to these stages, and I played through them without feeling bored.
No, well, I'm sorry you have the wrong opinions, but...
Okay, you, man. Seriously, all I'm doing is addressing my thoughts, and all you're doing is being an asshole.
Oh, what, and you aren't?
Well, I never said your opinion was wrong, did I?
Maybe not directly, but you did call us hypocritical.
Well, I didn't just... Okay, you know what? I need to go back to finishing this non-spoiler review so I can get onto my spoiler review. I mean, this video was going to be long enough as is, and then you came the frick out of nowhere.
Oh no, go ahead. You go ahead and praise the hell out of the obviously flawed. I'm pretty sure your stupid followers follow you for being so naive anyway.
sakes, I'm really hating this fan base. Okay, anyway, let's continue on. Seriously, if there's any anthropomorphic animals out there, or if Ron the Wolf exists, please freaking hug me. I honestly freaking need it. Speaking of OCs, let's talk about characters and story. There's actually one thing I love about the setting in this game. The world itself. In past Sonic games, they're usually showing different locations Sonic's been through, or you have a bunch of randomly named areas that literally go by so fast, making it hard to get emotionally attached to. But then you get games like the Sonic Adventure games or Sonic Unleashed, where the diverse worlds were so interesting to go through because they give a lot of personality to the locations you explore. Sonic Forces mostly succeeds to do this while bringing past locations into this game, such as Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, Metropolis, plus a spoiler that wasn't really shown in the trailers. Now, many people have been becoming sick of seeing Green Hill over again, and I will admit I'm pretty sick of it too, but we've pretty much forgiven Sonic Mania over it, mostly because most of the game was reimagined zones anyway. Sonic Forces, on the other hand, sure, they show these locations again, but they do one thing that I believe was very smart and unique compared to Sonic Mania. Change. They changed these locations to something we're still familiar with, but so much damage or change has happened that it feels like their world is evolving from the same looks to a more fleshed out world. What I mean is that Green Hill becomes a desert and is massively taken over by Eggman's empire. Seeing Green Hill like this is quite sad, but it's also refreshing at the same time, because it's making changes to a location you're familiar with, and it helps these locations seem a lot more original than they actually are. Chemical Plant has also become a spaceport, and there's snow on the outside, not only giving a chilling atmosphere that was never represented in past versions of Chemical Plant, but it's fitting for the story they are telling. And it really works because then you start to forget that you're even in Chemical Plant. And thankfully, it balances it out well with the newer locations that weren't in past Sonic games, such as the city and the forest. Seeing a mix of familiar locations and newer ones is a million times more refreshing than seeing 8 reimagined zones, and it really helps establish this as a world you're really fighting for. On top of that, they add actual animal citizens to make this world feel like you're fighting for something. There's no humans in this game, but you can still feel like you're fighting for freedom, and it's nice to see this diverse amount of detail in a Sonic game. And it was something I was really hoping Sega would do again, since it seems they were scared of tackling a more serious Sonic game with a fleshed out world since the disappointment of Sonic 06. The only exception after this being Sonic Unleashed. It's really awesome seeing a war-themed story, as I've been wanting a darker Sonic game for a long time. Not for edginess, but for drama and a reason to care. It's not the best one we got, but it still balances out the humorous moments while still giving Sonic a ton of personality, rather than just seeing a Sonic who looks like he's acting from a script in Sonic 06. And speaking of Sonic, holy crap does Roger Craig Smith totally get lost in the role. While I never thought he was a bad replacement in colors, the change in voice actors was very noticeable.
Well, this is new. Showing remorse, Eggman?
Because Eggman plus secretly built amusement park equals evil plot for us to foil.
And honestly, I think we have Sonic Boom to thank, as Roger has really defined Sonic in a perfect way. And Cindy Robinson has really improved Amy's voice so she doesn't sound so Minnie Mouse-ish. And I think the voice replacements they got for Sonic's friends are really great. I mean, outside of this line.
No way. That's excellent.
Even Silver's replacement is pretty good. The change in voice actors will definitely be distracting, but they aren't bad replacements. Now, I think the only other thing I can talk about without spoiling the game is the villains. However, I will talk about their purpose in the story in the spoiler video. Prior to the game's release, one of my major skepticisms is why Shadow was even on Eggman's side, and why Chaos was even back. Zavik and Metal Sonic I had no problem with, even though Zavik was a pretty bland villain in Lost World. But to me, it was completely out of Shadow's character to join Eggman's side. And I felt like with the antagonizing way they've been portraying him in Sonic Boom, they could have easily botched this up or ruined all of that character development that eventually made him a hero. And I felt Chaos personally was one of the best written Sonic villains who you legitimately felt sorry for and had a perfect ending with an ambiguous fate. so to see him back again felt more like fan service than any possibility for character development. So, do they justify Chaos and Shadow's reason for being on Eggman's side? Well, I will have to answer that in the spoiler video, but this in particular was the biggest skepticism I had before playing the game. And yeah, Dr. Eggman is still a ton of fun. And while Lost World did try to show a darker side to him, which we haven't had since Sonic Unleashed, they go all the way with how sadistic this madman can go, and it's a joy seeing him become more than just some clown setting up an amusement park or being that annoying neighbor in Sonic Boom. I'm really glad to see Eggman return back to this darker edge, and the stuff he does in this game is totally unforgiving. And yeah, Orbot and Cubar return as well, but they don't get much screen time like they did in Colors in Lost World, and it's a shame because I actually did find these two pretty funny. And then we get to the new edgelord himself, Infinite. Holy crap, did this guy really sell a lot of people through 2 trailers and an awesome theme song I have listened to death to. And to be honest, he was honestly the #1 character I was really hyped to see, as we never had a great Sonic villain since probably from the Black Knight. I mean, most Sonic villains outside of Eggman really range from generic or never reaching their full potential. So, with so much hype and build-up, did Infinite disappoint? Honestly, no he didn't. He's actually quite a fun villain. He has some pretty great lines here and there, and his lack of remorse is so satisfying. However, I'm not gonna lie, there is unfortunately one major problem with Infinite, and sadly, it's not a nitpick. And it's something I have to save for the spoiler video, as this heavily revolves around plot. However, don't let this take away your interest from Infinite, because even if he's not at his full potential, he's still the best villain we've had since. So I don't see Infinite as a complete disappointment, it's just, well, I'll explain in part 2 when we get there. Infinite, I love you, and I hope you don't mind me using your image for my Twitter account. I just really get sucked into this character. Now, I'm sure for those of you who have played this game, you are wanting to know my thoughts on Tails and whether or not I think they downgraded his character, but I'll save that for part 2 as I do have to go into spoiler territory. And I think that's all I can really talk about this game without going into spoiler territory. So if you haven't played this game, get it. I know the reviews and Sonic fans online are likely making you question whether or not it's worth it, but for my money, it was totally worth it. The game has problems, no doubt, and it's not the best Sonic game ever made, but it never got me angry or bored. I was able to have fun from beginning to end. Fun that was lacking in Lost World, Colors, Rise of Lyric, and Sonic 06. To me, this game is above average. It has a great world that feels like you're fighting for something, 2 great gameplays, sorry Classic Sonic, but you kinda suck, fun characters, good changes, a really fun villain, a great soundtrack, and many satisfying moments. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for praising this game, but I'd rather be truthful than go, oh wait, we're supposed to hate this game? Okay. I hate this game, I guess, because opinions are totally fact and not personal perspective. And what really bothers me is how there's so many people on social media who are bullying others over a game that is so obviously polarized. The fans are calling the haters not true Sonic fans, and the haters are calling Sonic fans wrong and making them look like idiots who love mediocrity. With the amount of hate and controversy this game has caused, to say it's annoying is a huge understatement. And I worry that because the hate post gets the most attention, it will make the bigger names think that this game is bad and they will rank it that way. Not from personal experience, but how they think the majority thinks. And as we know, statistics is what leads to companies like these. But my hope is that pretty soon, we can express our opinions without being called for or bullied over a different perspective. Maybe because of the stress and for the fact the game is new, I still can't really empathize with people who hated the game. And all I can really say to you guys is, I'm sorry you couldn't have a positive feeling about this game. I really wish you could have had the same feelings that I've had. But maybe months from now, I'll be able to understand people who found it below average. And who knows, maybe the haters might start liking this game over time. Almost like how Sonic Heroes and Unleashed were polarized at the time, but have gained a huge following over the years. Maybe Sonic Forces will be like this. Or maybe it might stay polarized forever. Only time can tell. It has problems that definitely need to be addressed, but I don't think it deserves the hate. And it definitely doesn't justify any reason to bully others for having a different opinion. To me, I did like this game overall, and I have no shame admitting that. Call me a betrayer of the Sonic franchise all you want, but start thinking like a reasoning adult before you make yourself look like a complete asshole. If you hated this game, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. This game for me gets a 7 out of 10. Not the best, but far from a bad game. Go get this game yourself and judge it from your own perspective. From where this game stands, you should allow yourself to express how you feel rather than be bullied to feel something that doesn't reflect what you think. And if these people online are pissing you off, unfollow them, block them if you have to. But just remember that this game is your right to like or dislike the way you see it. But if there's anything that you can take from Sonic Forces, don't let your fear of feeling different own you. Don't let the bullies make you feel bad about yourself. Embrace what you feel and don't hesitate to express it. And that was my non-spoiler review on Sonic Forces. I'm sorry this was such a long video and I'm throwing more at you, but there was definitely a lot that needed to be talked about. And I felt like doing a review on this game was important, especially with the way that people are representing themselves on social media. And all I can say, guys, is, whether if you like this game or hate it, don't bully other people and embrace this game from your own perspective. It's very unfortunate that this became a polarized game, but I like it. I like it for what it is, even with its flaws, and hopefully in part 2 I have something powerful to say. I like to be the powerful message kind of guy, if you know what I mean. And hopefully it's not as forced in as admittedly the ending was, you know. True that, it was definitely kind of forced in. I guess that's why it's called Sonic Forces, you know, forced the message in. And yeah, I'm really going nowhere with this. I'll see you guys in the spoiler review of Sonic Forces. This is Mr. Gamer. Probably gonna do more Persona 5 on the New Game Plus, maybe. I don't know. Take care.